Hello, thanks for checking out my video. Today we're going to be talking just a little bit about sticker use and things that we have around the clinic to really hit the goals that we're looking for the academic-based goals for our school-age kids, primarily with bilateral coordination, fine motor skills, and visual motor integration. Those are the things that we're going to be focusing on just with some basic materials that we have around the clinic. At our clinic, we work with a variety of different children presenting with an array of different skill sets, so it's important that we are able to use the basic materials that we have at the clinic to grade up and down to find just the right challenge for each of our kids. So today, because I have these vehicle stickers, I'm going to be using them for a city scene. So I'm going to start with the blue piece of paper here for the background, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this purple paper here because this is what I have, and I want to make some buildings. So eventually I kind of want the buildings to run probably about right there, maybe about halfway up the page. So you can help your kid complete this activity by maybe having some pre-made cutout buildings that you can kind of just lay down right there. Or if your kid has some more developed skills, you can use this piece of paper to practice drawing some kind of pre-writing strokes, maybe a vertical line. If that's what you're working on with your kid, but they maybe need some visual prompts, you can create kind of a dotted line that they can then trace. And while I'm working with the kid, I want them to really be utilizing some of the skills that we're developing for our academic-based goals. So I'm going to be looking for kind of a dynamic tripod grasp or maybe an extended finger grasp, that sort of thing. And I also really want to facilitate some good bilateral coordination skills. So I'm using my non-dominant hand. Maybe you have to do a little hand-over-hand assistance if they need it, but they're going to use their non-dominant hand to secure the paper to complete some of the pre-writing strokes, like the vertical strokes. And then also, when we're going to use our scissors, I want to make sure that I fully support their forearms so that they have enough kind of postural stability to go ahead and complete this fine motor activity. I'm going to trim this up just right here on the side so it kind of fits our picture a little better. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out some of these buildings. So we're using our visual motor integration skills now. We're developing those to use our tool functionally to cut right on the line here. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and do that with this one too. So again, I'm supporting the non-dominant hand to stabilize my object. I might also support the dominant hand as I'm using the scissors for the kid to kind of complete this fine motor task. Now that I have my buildings cut out, we can go ahead and make them different sizes. So we can get back onto the pre-writing strokes. Now we can work on horizontal strokes if we wanted to, or we can flip it this way and continue our vertical writing strokes. Again, I'm looking for a dynamic tripod grasp, maybe an extended finger grasp, but I'm really looking to develop some of these fine motor skills right here. So this is great for actually turning the paper horizontally and drawing a vertical line, because you'll notice my fingers are really kind of doing the motion here more so than my entire hand. So again, that's my thumb and my index finger really driving this motion here. And then I'm going to go ahead and make this building a little bit shorter. And this building can stay the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors again. This is, again, another opportunity to work on some bilateral coordination skills in conjunction with developing your fine motor skills. So really encouraging your kid to use his or her non-dominant hand to secure the object. Then we're going to go ahead and support their scissor hand, their dominant hand, as they cut along this line, developing some good fine motor skills, some good visual motor integration right there. We're going to just lay it there. Gonna get the other one. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and cut along the line, making a smaller building. If your child has a hard time with visual focus and is really not able to focus on the activity, it's definitely advisable to use the scissors for them and to not let them use the scissors. Obviously, if you're not looking at what you're doing, you can cut yourself, and that'd be a bad situation for everyone. So now we have the building is about the right size there. They all look pretty good to me. We're going to go ahead and glue those down. So we're using the same skills that we were just using to draw the shapes. We're going to use the same skills with the glue stick. And actually, we're going to go ahead and use our non-dominant hand to also secure the paper down. Sometimes your child may require a little extra support, hand-over-hand assistance to get that non-dominant hand as a helper hand. And again, we're using two hands together to go ahead and put that down. Sometimes at the clinic, when we're teaching scissor skills for the first time for a kid, we're going to go ahead and ramp up the safety precautions. So we'll use something like a shape from a puzzle, this sort of wood piece right here. We put it over the top of our shape, and then maybe we draw our line on the edge of the shape, so it adds a nice tactile cue of where the boundary is right there. And then we're also keeping our fingers out of the way. So we're holding on to this piece right here, and we're going to go ahead and cut right along the side, making sure we get our fingers out of the way entirely, 100% safe. If you're working on shapes and shape identification and drawing shapes or cutting out shapes, this would actually be a good time to make a variety of different shapes for your buildings. Maybe you make one a square, one a triangle, and one a rectangle. Then you could work on some shape ID, that sort of thing, which one's the triangle, which one's the square, which one's the rectangle, that sort of thing. And when they're cutting out or drawing the shapes, remember you can use hand-over-hand assistance with them to kind of support their arm as they initiate the movement. You're kind of providing a little bit of feedback so they understand how to develop graded muscle force, so they're not just swiping at the paper. We're kind of really going a little slower. Or you can use the visual cues, the dots, that sort of thing, so that they draw a straight line from dot to dot, and then we can go horizontally from dot to dot and vertically, etc. So now that we have our backdrop and our buildings here, just kind of the basic setting, I'm going to go ahead and work on some visual motor skills just by expanding the visual field a little bit, and then putting some of our pieces, maybe like the next piece of paper, next couple pieces of paper down here on the bottom part of the visual field, so that we consistently have to look to the bottom of the visual field for our paper, and then back to the top of the visual field for our target here. So we're going to go from the bottom to the top, bottom to the top. This is developing some vertical smooth pursuits as we go ahead and just work on our basic little art project here. So because I have these transportation pieces, I'm going to make a road with this black piece of paper here. I'm just going to get it to about right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the boundary of the paper to draw another line right there. And I'm using my non-dominant hand. Again, I'm using my non-dominant hand to secure the paper as my dominant hand manipulates my object here. I'm going to go back to using the scissors, and we're going to use our non-dominant hand again to secure the paper, making sure our fingers are out of the way. If we need to use the tactile cue to add a physical boundary to avoid cutting ourselves there, we can do that with a puzzle piece. We're just going to cut right along the edge there. And again, we're just going to be able to work on these visual motor skills, the vertical pursuits, just by extending the visual field a little bit further vertically and keeping some of our pieces down here at the bottom of the field. So we're going to take the road, and we're going to get our glue Again, we're developing some good fine motor skills here, some radial precision, nice pincer grasp, and a dynamic tripod just by using the glue stick. If you have a squeezy bottle glue, that's totally fine too. We're actually developing some similar fine motor skills and some grip and grasp strength as well. So that's not a bad option for you. But I have the glue stick. It's a little cleaner for me, so I'm going to go ahead and use this on the back of the paper. And then I'm going to look vertically, use my vertical pursuits to find my target up here. And I'm going to go ahead and put the road down on the bottom of the paper. Now that I have my road down, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of detail to these buildings here, especially if your kid is working on some of the pre-writing strokes. So again, I want to kind of use my dynamic tripod grasp or maybe a extended finger grasp. I want to start working on some of these vertical lines and horizontal lines and intersecting lines. If you're working on shapes, you can draw a rectangle for a door. If you're working on intersecting lines, you can draw a vertical line all the way down to the bottom and maybe another line all the way down to the bottom, and then horizontal lines that go across. We're just going to do some of those intersecting lines and then maybe draw another door right there. Or if you're just drawing squares, you can draw little windows on your building with squares. And we can easily work on our shape identification, shape copying. If your child requires a little bit of visual cue, you can do the dot prompts so that they complete the square like that, or maybe a little bit more visual cue so that they can kind of trace around the outside. Or if you have a copy that, like a model that they can copy, that's also acceptable. If your kid is just learning about these pre-writing strokes, it may be appropriate to do a little hand-over-hand assistance until they develop the graded muscle force to control their stroke. So now that we have our building down and our road down, we're going to get to the meat of this operation here. We're going to start using these vehicles. These are actually really cool because they have an adhesive back to them, so we don't have to use the glue stick. It's just some stickers that we kind of peel off on the back. Using our fine motor skills, using a nice pincer grasp, some good opposition of our index finger and thumb, as well as our bilateral coordination skills to peel away this sticker back right there. And then we're going to use our two hands, one to secure the paper, one for the sticker, and we're going to put it down there. And then we're going to go ahead and get another sticker, do the same thing. So we're going to be working on our fine motor skills here as we peel off. Let's see if I can even do it. We peel off the back part of the sticker here. That was the tough one. And we're going to go ahead and put this one over here. And then we're going to get one more car. Working on our fine motor skills. Maybe you can kind of help them with this part. It was a little tough for me even, so maybe start it for them just a little bit and then help them to kind of peel away this back part. And we can stabilize the paper, put the sticker on. We're working on our fine motor skills, our bilateral coordination. We're really developing some good kind of visual spatial awareness with the directionality of the cars, if that's our goal. And then also some visual motor skills by putting these sticker pieces down here at the bottom and having our target up here at the top. We're going from the bottom to the top, developing some nice vertical smooth pursuits.